All right, welcome to our deep dive into the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This book, whew, there's a lot in here. It's a bit dense.
Definitely a lot to unpack.
Yeah, so, we're going to try to break it down a little bit today, pull out some of the most intriguing and I guess useful laws. I mean, hopefully everyone walks away feeling a little bit empowered.
Yeah, that's the goal, right?
Mm.
We're going to sort of explore how these laws play out in history in everyday life so we can all see how they work and how they might apply to our own experiences.
Well, Greene, he doesn't waste any time. He jumps right in with Law 6, court attention at all cost. Basically, what he's saying is visibility equals power. Can't really blend in if you want to make an impact. Gotta stand out. Become a magnet for, well, I guess the right kind of attention. Right.
Right. He tells this really captivating story about this con man named Count Victor Lustig. This guy was a master of kind of cultivating this aura of mystery. So he'd book an entire floor of a luxury hotel. Can you imagine? Do things like sunbathe in a full suit
Oh, wow.
and let all these crazy rumors swirl around him.
It's almost like he understood personal branding before social media.
Exactly. And by creating this, like, intrigue,
Mm-hmm.
he attracted attention, and it made his cons, his very elaborate cons, even more successful. People were just drawn to the enigma. They didn't even see the deception happening.
Wow. So how do we apply this principle without, becoming a con artist? I mean, do we always have to be the loudest voice in the room? Are there other ways, more subtle ways to stand out?
Yeah, it's not necessarily about being loud, but it's about showcasing your unique strengths and talents.
Right.
What makes you different?
Mhm.
What value do you bring to the table? You want to become kind of a magnet for the people and opportunities that are right for you, that align with your goals.
Okay, all right. Well, next up, this is a law that might make some people kind of raise their eyebrows. Law 7, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. I mean, that seems pretty ruthless. Is Greene suggesting we just exploit others for our own personal gain?
It's definitely a law that you have to kind of consider very carefully. Think about the ethical boundaries. And he uses the story of Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. Tesla was the brains behind so many groundbreaking inventions like the AC electrical system that we all use today.
Right.
But Edison was a master of self-promotion and took a lot of the credit, even tried to sabotage Tesla's reputation.
Oof, that's a tough one. So I guess it's a cautionary tale, right? It emphasizes, that balance between using other people's skills, but also respecting their contributions. You can't just build power on stolen credit. How do you reconcile this law then with ethical leadership?
I think delegation is an essential part of leadership. It allows you to focus on your strengths, empowers others to develop theirs. But it's so crucial to make sure everyone feels valued and their contributions are acknowledged. Build a team where everyone's invested in the success, so even if you're leading the charge, the credit's shared, everyone benefits.
Okay, so it's not about taking all the credit. It's about creating a collaborative environment where everyone wins. Everyone shares in the success. That makes sense. Okay, this next one, Law 12, use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Even more ethically ambiguous, right? We're using kindness as a weapon now.
Well, it's more about understanding the power of kindness, I guess, how it can disarm suspicion, build trust. Even the most guarded people can be swayed by genuine generosity or honesty. It's about creating reciprocity. Small acts of kindness can open doors later on.
It's true. And he uses the example of the con man Yellow Kid Weil. This guy would convince his victims they were getting this special deal as a way to lure them in.
Classic.
Yeah. It does make you think though, have we encountered this, maybe even used it ourselves without realizing it? It's a bit scary. It's like even the most innocent gestures can have this layer of
Manipulation.
manipulation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awareness is key.
Right.
Think back to a time someone did something nice for you, like out of the blue. Didn't make you more open to what they might ask for later.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the principle at play here.
Okay, Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. This one seems a little less, manipulative and more about understanding human nature.
Totally. He's saying appealing to emotions is actually less effective than appealing to self-interest.
Yeah.
People are more likely to help if they get something out of it, right?
And he gives this historical example, the Corinthians trying to persuade the Athenians to form an alliance.
Yeah.
And they remind them of all these past favors, appeal to their sense of duty, loyalty. But the Corcyraeans took a different approach. They appealed to their logic, hey, This alliance will benefit us both strategically.
Mar.
And guess who won the alliance?
The Corsarians.
The Corsarians. It's like, in any kind of negotiation, understanding what motivates the other person is crucial.
Yeah, frame your request in a way that aligns with their goals.
So instead of saying like, hey, remember when I did you that favor? Now it's your turn. It's like, hey, I'm working on this thing. It could really help you out too. Want to collaborate?
Exactly. Win-win.
All right. Law 14. This one sounds like a spy movie. Pose as a friend. Work as a spy. Are we all becoming secret agents now?
Not necessarily, but he does emphasize the importance of gathering information. To win, you need to understand the competition. What are their strengths, their weaknesses, their strategies? Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah. Okay, but there's a fine line, right? I mean, between gathering info and being, creepy, unethical, how do you spy without crossing a line?
There are a lot of ethical ways to do it.
Yeah.
Go to conferences, read industry publications, analyze your competitors' moves. You can learn a lot just by paying attention.
Okay, that makes sense. It feels like a good transition into Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. But wait, this contradicts Law 6, right? Stand out, court attention. Now we're saying don't isolate yourself.
It's not about contradicting, but finding a balance. Being visible is good, but you don't want to be isolated on a pedestal, He's reminding us, isolation makes you a target.
He uses the example of the Chinese emperor Qin Shi Huangdi. Built this massive, opulent palace, isolated himself inside, thinking it would protect him.
Yeah, and what happened?
I'm guessing it didn't go well.
He lost touch with his people, became paranoid, and that isolation led to his downfall. You need connection, collaboration.
So be a magnet for the right attention, but don't be a recluse. Build alliances, find support. This is a tough one. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew.
I mean, are we talking about finding people's weaknesses, their fears, insecurities, and using that? Feels a little manipulative.
This one you got to be careful with. Understanding people's motivations is one thing, but exploiting their insecurities, that's crossing a line.
Yeah.
He tells this story of Lola Montez, a 19th century, dancer, actress, master manipulator. She used her charm and beauty to, exploit powerful men. Left a trail of chaos.
Oh, wow.
So it's a cautionary tale. Using people's weaknesses will backfire. Real power comes from empowering others, not exploiting them. But understanding those, screws, that can help you avoid being manipulated yourself.
Okay, that's a good point. So everyone has vulnerabilities, but true power is building people up, not tearing them down. Okay, this one might hit home for a lot of people. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. I think about my own career, are we where we thought we'd be? Were there paths not taken? It's easy to get caught up in wanting what you don't have. But he's saying, let it go.
Yeah, it can be a trap. When you're focused on what you lack, you miss what's right in front of you. Master your current situation, and those desires might just come naturally.
It's like bloom where you're planted.
Exactly. Focus on growth and excellence where you are, and you become more attractive to those very things you wanted.
Okay, I like that. All right, Law 40. Despise the free lunch. Nothing's truly free. There are always strings attached. How do we apply this beyond, financial scams?
Be discerning. Question those offers that seem too good to be true. Think about your time, your energy. Those are valuable. Don't give them away for free. Before you say yes, ask, what's the catch? What's expected in return?
He talks about P.T. Barnum. At first, he tried to hide the tricks behind his shows, thought people didn't want to know the secrets, but then he realized they enjoyed being fooled.
Yeah.
They were happy to pay to be entertained, even if it was an illusion.
It says something about human nature. Maybe we want the illusion more than reality. Even in a transparent world, there's showmanship, illusion. Be discerning, not just about what you buy, but the information you consume, the stories you believe.
That's a good point. Okay, last one for this segment. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. So following a legend is a bad idea. You're always going to be compared. Got to work twice as hard. How do you carve your own path while honoring those who came before?
Well, he uses the example of Louis XV. He inherited the throne from his grandfather, Louis XIV, the Sun King. Talk about pressure. He struggled to live up to it, or became known for extravagance, weakness.
Not quite the Sun King, huh?
No, not at all. It shows how hard it is to follow greatness. But Green's not saying avoid leadership. It's about finding your own niche, your strengths. Learn from your predecessors, but forge your own path.
Okay, so acknowledge the giants, but strive to see farther. We'll be back to explore more of these power plays.
And we're back. Ready for more.
Yeah, let's dive back in.
All right, so this next law, It's particularly relevant today, with everyone trying to be so perfect. It's Law 46. Never appear too perfect.
Wait, really? Seems counterintuitive. Don't we want to, like, present our best selves?
Well, Green argues that appearing flawless can actually backfire, makes people envious, resentful. It can actually undermine you.
Interesting.
Think about it. When someone seems too perfect, it makes others feel insecure. And that can lead to, well, backlash.
Right, like, the taller they are, the harder they fall. People love to see a perfect person mess up.
Exactly. And he uses the story of Michelangelo and this rival architect, Bramante. Bramante was so jealous of Michelangelo's talent.
Oh, I know this story.
Yeah, so Bramante, he tries to sabotage him, gives him this impossible task, painting the Sistine Chapel. He thinks Michelangelo will fail, ruin his reputation.
But spoiler alert, it kind of backfired, huh?
Big time. Michelangelo created a masterpiece. It's the irony of envy. It can motivate,
Yeah.
but often for the wrong reasons.
Ah.
Instead of pushing us to improve, it makes us want to tear others down. But what if you could use that envy to your advantage?
Okay, how do you do that?
That's where this law comes in. Show a little vulnerability, a touch of imperfection. It disarms envy, makes you relatable. Show effort, admit flaws. Let others feel superior in some small way.
So not pretending to be incompetent, but strategically revealing your human side.
Exactly, because when you seem too perfect, too untouchable, it creates distance. And that breeds suspicion, resentment.
Okay, makes sense. This next law, Law 47, it feels very relevant in today's hustle culture. Always strive for more, never settle. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop.
Classic case of overreaching. You achieve a goal, you taste success, and then you get greedy. Just one more thing. But that greed can be your downfall.
It can.
Yeah. He uses the example of Cyrus the Great. Built this huge empire, conquering everything, but he didn't know when to stop.
Oh, no. What happened?
Kept pushing further, overextended himself, and it led to his defeat, his death. It's a warning, about unchecked ambition.
So there's wisdom in knowing when enough is enough. Consolidate. Enjoy what you've achieved.
Absolutely. There's a natural rhythm to success, right? Times to push, times to pull back, times to sow and times to reap. It's about balance.
Balance. Okay, I can get behind that. All right, Law 48, assume formlessness. This one sounds a bit mystical.
It is, kinda. It's the idea that rigidity breaks,
Mhm.
Adaptability lets you bend, weather any storm. The world's always changing, and those who cling to the old ways, they get swept away.
Interesting.
He uses Japan as an example. For centuries, they seemed to adopt foreign cultures like a chameleon.
Right.
But it was actually a way to protect themselves. Control the influence of outsiders. Absorb what was useful. Discard what wasn't. They appeared formless, but underneath, they were shaping their own destiny.
So it's not about being a pushover, but strategic adaptability.
Exactly. Like water, flowing around obstacles, finding the path of least resistance. And in today's world, that adaptability, it's more crucial than ever.
It's those who can adapt, who are fluid, formless, who will thrive.
Exactly. Let's take a moment to reflect. We've covered a lot. Appearing too perfect, knowing when to stop, gathering information, being adaptable.
It's been a whirlwind tour, that's for sure. Navigating these power dynamics in our work, our lives.
And Green's laws, yeah, they might seem a bit, Machiavellian at times. But remember, they're not about being ruthless.
No, I get that.
They're about understanding how power works so we can navigate it better.
He's giving us a map, but also warning us about the dangers.
Exactly. And for me, one of the biggest takeaways is self-awareness. Why do you want power? What are your motivations? What are you hoping to achieve? Ask yourself these questions before you even try to use these laws.
And we're back, wrapping up our deep dive into the 48 laws of power. It's been, it's been a journey. Lots to think about.
It has. From visibility to isolation, from information gathering to, adaptability. We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, and some of these laws, they're a little, ruthless sounding. But I think the point is they're just observations, right?
Right.
About human nature.
Right. Green's not saying be amoral. He's just showing us how power works so we can, navigate it, be more effective.
Like he's giving us a map of this dangerous terrain, but also warning us about the pitfalls, the ethical dilemmas.
Exactly. And I think one of the most important things to take away from this is self-awareness. Why do you want power? What's driving you? What are you trying to achieve? You got to ask yourself these things before you even think about using these laws.
Yeah, because we've seen, those historical examples, if it's all about ego, control, dominance, you just end up isolated, paranoid, not a good look.
Not at all. It's like that saying, power corrupts. But power doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? It could
Yeah.
be a force for good.
Totally. I mean, if you're using power to create something positive, to inspire, to make a real difference, then these laws can be like tools for good.
Right. Think about leaders you admire. They don't use power to manipulate. They use it to empower others, to collaborate, to create a vision.
Yeah, it's about realizing true power isn't dominance, it's mastery. Mastery of yourself.
Well said. And that starts with self-awareness. Green's book, it's not just about influencing others. It's like a mirror. It shows us our own desires, fears, motivations.
It's challenging us to look inside, to see those parts of ourselves that want power, recognition.
And by facing those shadows, we can make better choices about how we use power. Make sure it aligns with our values. Makes the world a better place.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, think about what resonated with you, what surprised you, what made you feel uncomfortable, and how can you apply this, to your own life in a way that feels, I don't know, empowering but also ethical.
Remember, knowledge is power,
Mm.
but it's what you do with it that really matters.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of power. It's been fascinating and at times a little unsettling, but hopefully you've gained some insights to help you navigate these complex relationships with more awareness, strategy, and yeah, empowerment.
Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and as always, stay empowered.